The Palestinian resistance hits Tel Aviv and the number of Palestinian martyrs exceeds 140. Our armed forces continue to chase terrorists and destroy their hideouts in several areas. Clashes between demonstrators and security men in the center of Cairo leave 79 people injured. Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. Israeli occupation troops continue for the 8th consecutive day their aggression on Gaza, raising the number of martyrs since the beginning of the aggression to more than 140 and injuring 1,150 Palestinians.
The Israeli ongoing aggression on Gaza today enters its 8th consecutive day, leaving more than 140 Palestinians dead and wounding 1,200 others, mostly women and children. Israeli raids targeted houses, bridges and governmental institutions in Khan Yunis, Jabalia and Shuja'iyya and al-Sayrat, killing 3 Palestinians and injuring others. Israeli warplanes also destroyed houses in Al-Break camp, al-Sayrat and Jisr al-Wad in Gaza, which links the city with the central governorate, and the old bridge in al-Mighraqa district. They also targeted Abu Khudra governmental complex with missiles, destroying several buildings inside. In retaliation, Palestinian resistance men bombarded the Israeli Hastur military base with 3 Grad missiles. They also fired 3 rockets at Asqalan. Meanwhile, a Palestinian girl carried out a suicidal operation, blowing up a bus in Tel Aviv and the government's complex. According to Israeli media, 2 settlers were killed and 21 others were wounded. 5 of them sustained serious injuries. On its part, Israeli media admitted the injury of several settlers after the Palestinian resistance hit with its missiles Be'er Tobia. The Israeli enemy has also admitted that 19 Israelis have been killed, including 10 soldiers, and 653 others have been injured since the beginning of the Israeli aggression on Gaza.
With the escalation of the Israeli aggression on Gaza, demonstrations swept West Bank towns in defiance of the Israeli occupation's suppressive measures. Students took to the streets in Beit Lahem, hoisting Palestinian flags and denouncing the crimes committed against the innocent Palestinians. In Ramallah, the relatives of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails and the national forces in the city took part in a sit-in in solidarity with the Strip. They stressed the need to stand on the side of the Palestinian people in Gaza to restore cohesion to the 2 parts of the homeland. Similar marches took place in Jenin and Tulkarem in condemnation of the Israeli aggression. Meanwhile, several confrontations erupted in the West Bank between Palestinian young men and Israeli occupation troops, during which the latter used rubber bullets and gas and sound bombs, leaving several suffocation cases. The Israeli occupation troops also launched detention campaigns on a wide scale in several cities in the West Bank. Our armed forces have continued to clear several areas of the armed terrorist groups, inflicting on them heavy losses. In Damascus suburbs, an army unit clashed with a terrorist group in Al-Husseiniya in As-Sayyida Zainab neighborhood, eliminating all its members. The unit also destroyed a vehicle equipped with a Doshka machine gun and confiscated ammunition and weapons the terrorists used in their aggression on the inhabitants and the law enforcement troops. Among the killed terrorists, the leader of the group, terrorist Muhammad al-Batal, was identified. In Damascus suburbs, an armed terrorist group assaulted Al-Tawba Mosque, several shops and citizens' houses on the Factories Road in Daraya. They desecrated the mosque and vandalized its content before they stormed into several shops, which they destroyed and stole their contents. The terrorists also attacked neighboring buildings, piercing walls among houses to facilitate their escape. Our army units today continue their pursuit of terrorists in Harbin in Damascus suburbs, inflicting on them heavy losses. An army unit clashed with an armed group in Gbeir Square in the town, killing and wounding several members of the group. In Homs, a unit of our valiant forces has foiled an attempt of a terrorist group to infiltrate from Lebanon into al-Assad countryside and seized weapons and ammunition. Our armed forces also clashed with a terrorist group near Jabal Jussieh and Masharia Jussieh in al-Qasir countryside, inflicting heavy losses on the group, forcing the rest of its members to flee into Lebanese territory, leaving behind large quantities of arms, ammunition and drugs which they were trying to take into Syria. In Egypt, clashes were renewed between demonstrators and the security forces in the streets of Cairo during a rally by 5,000 people to mark the first anniversary of the killing of at least 42 Egyptian demonstrators in Mohammed Mahmoud Street in a security crackdowns after the fall of Hosni Mubarak. Hundreds of young demonstrators threw stones and hurled empty bottles at the security forces and at the security guards of the American University, condemning the government's policy. Police beat protesters with batons and fired rubber bullets and tear gas at them. Medical sources said that 79 people were injured, including 30 policemen. The demonstrators reached a spot near the Parliament building, triggering scuffles with the security forces there. In Jordan, demonstrations continued for the 7th day in a row, protesting against the government's decision in Jordan to lift subsidies on basic commodities, especially oil derivatives. Dozens protested in the city of Irbid to denounce the government's economic policies, demanding the government to step down and to reverse its decision in lifting subsidies on fuel immediately. They also demanded the immediate release of dozens of detainees who have been arrested during the recent protests. The demonstrators stressed that they will continue in their movement until their demands are met, in addition to working hard to fight against corruption and to adopt real political reforms. In Yemen, 10 soldiers were killed in a military plane crash in Al-Hasba in the capital Sana'a. The Yemeni Minister of Defense confirmed that an Antonov 26 plane crashed because of a technical malfunction while it was on a training mission. The pilot, 9 trainees and its crew were killed in the crash. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more news about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. And now over to latest business and market news with Nariman after a short break.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In its meeting, chaired by Speaker Mohammed Jihad al-Laham today, the People's Assembly referred to the draft law concerning the regulation of the public office to the government to be redrafted again. Members of the Parliament stressed in their interventions that the draft law is hybrid and it took from the texts of the workers' law without including details. Members of the Parliament also explained that the importance of the draft law lies in its application. The members of the Parliament asserted that the development of the public office should take into consideration the participation of the workers' union in the draft law. Director General of the Real Estate Bank, Dr. Abed Fadliye, said that there is an expected breakthrough in resuming the work by the banking products, especially the housing loans, depending on deposits and Syria cards. The statement came following extensive correspondence with the Ministry of Finance, the Credit and Monetary Council and the Central Bank of Syria. Mr. Fadliya explained that the indicators are positive towards allowing the bank to grant banking services for the dealers, leading to activate the liquidity movement and to provide services that reflect the social and economic characteristics of the bank. The General Establishment of Food Industry stressed the importance of providing full authorities to the director of its companies to buy the agricultural products directly from the farmers. The establishment also emphasized the importance of reducing the prices of fuel and electricity that are provided for the food industrial companies in order to help in reducing costs and hence their prices. Meanwhile, the establishment affirmed the importance of monitoring the product certificates of origin to impose due fines in case of any breaches or irregularities were discovered. In Hama, the Committee of Planning and Financial Programs approved transferring procedures and the budget credits amendment for the current year. The credits of the service projects have reached more than 939 million Syrian pounds, in addition to the subsidies from the Minister of Local Administration that reached 17.4 million Syrian pounds, while revenues reached 10.5 million Syrian pounds. The committee has undertaken imposing local fees and costs for the forthcoming year for the implementation of the independent budget projects in Hama. The committee also approved to dispute 24 million Syrian pounds to the city councils in the governorate. Brent crude settled near $110 per barrel after raising in futures due to concerns about disrupting crude supply from the Middle East. European stocks were little changed after policymakers meeting in Brussels failed to reach a decision on assisting debt-laden Greece, while Asian stocks gained with the regional benchmark index heading for the highest close in 2 weeks. Gold swung between gains and losses in London as the dollar strengthened and investors and central banks increased bullion holdings. The euro dropped against the dollar after the German finance minister Wolfgang Schäuble's declaration that European finance ministers failed to agree on a debt reduction package for Greece, and they plan to meet next Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching.